Hello and welcome to Reinfused. A few videos ago we asked the question, can you build a Game Boy Advance using parts from Aliexpress? The answer to that, of course, was yes. Well, mostly yes. We got some parts from eBay and stuff, but we could have got it all from Aliexpress and we could have built it, and we did end up with one. And it works, and it's nice, and it's still mine, and I use it. But, I mean, it was more expensive to build it, but it was also a lot of fun putting together. And that video did quite well. And so, of course, in the spirit of YouTube, I had to do a follow-up. So we're going, really, I guess, a couple of generations, because there were a couple of... there was another Game Boy Advance, and there was a couple of DSs before the one we're building. We're building a DS Lite, I'll just say that. Can we do the same thing again? Can we build one using parts from Aliexpress? Right. Here's a stack of parts. We'll try and go through this quickly so I can get this video done. At the moment, it is the 6th of November, and it basically sounds like a war zone outside every 20 minutes. So, yeah, you may hear some of that in the background. Nothing I can do about it. Anyway, yeah, so here's our stack. I'll kind of show off each bit separately, probably while I'm whittling away now, and give you an idea of the price and stuff. So... yeah, it's obviously a much bigger stack than the GBA. It's a much more complex machine. I don't know how they put it together, and we have at least one part missing because I forgot to order it. So the speakers, we don't need speakers. I think we can get away with it for now, but yeah, that's something we'll have to look at. I will, if I can find the speakers, I'll put a price up for those as well, so you kind of know what I'll expect to pay for them, but you won't know what the quality is, of course. Again, as always, the motherboard, of course, is from a presumably broken model, but it says this works. We don't know until we try it. So, yeah, here's the plastics. It came with a full set of... well, the full set of the plastic parts. So the controller and the shoulder buttons and everything, and also the pins to hold the shoulder buttons in, so the metallic pins for that. That's right, isn't it? I think it did anyway. Maybe it didn't. Maybe they're in the screws, but it didn't come with this. I had to get the screws separately. Again, yeah, the case, I mean, if it seems fine, pretty much, but it does have a couple of issues. So having to cut that whole thing off, and I'm pretty sure there should be a line down there, but it wasn't set right. And also not holding the stylus in. That's, yeah, a couple of issues, but, you know, we'll give it a pass for now. The other thing it doesn't come with is case hinges. So you need the case hinges. They're a special kind of springy lock thing, which allows you to kind of set the lid at different angles rather than it just falling back and forward. So you do need those as well, and obviously you can't put it together without those. Yeah, the case screws, which is the other thing I discussed. So you need those, otherwise it won't stay together, obviously. I mean, if you've got a broken machine, you can obviously take the parts for a lot of these parts from that as well. Batteries, yes. So you do need a battery. I think this was a 2-pack. I don't need 2, obviously. Or I shouldn't need 2. But yeah, I got 2. The rubber carbon pad business, which actually translates the button pushes onto the motherboard to make electrical contact, so you can actually tell it you're controlling something. So you need to buy those as well. Not cheap. Sorry, not expensive. But yeah, necessary. And I didn't know if this came with styluses or not, so I did buy styluses. Anyway, so I did buy some. So this is just assorted coloured styluses for and all these bits. This may have been what came with the case, actually. So these are case screws. So maybe it did come with it. I'll verify and I'll write it down beneath. This has got like the... actually, you know what? This did come with it. Sorry, I'll tell you about it. It did come with the screws. Because this has got the pins for the shoulder buttons, and I remember it coming with those. So they're in that pack, so it must have come with it. It also comes with... you can just tip the box up and get there. It also comes with a sticker for the back, so kind of a bona fide looking serial sticker. Now, the other two things, which are pretty important for a DS are the screens, and there are, of course, 2 of them. So there's this one, which I believe is the top screen, I think. I believe it's the right one. I guess we'll find out. And also this one, which I'm fairly certain is the top screen. And or if I'm wrong about the other one, it's the bottom screen. It doesn't matter. So yeah, basically 2 screens. They're not very expensive. They're a lot cheaper, for instance, than the Game Boy Advance one. And that's mostly because, of course, they're brand new. They're not taken from an actual GBA machine. So the only thing that we've actually taken from a DS Lite is the motherboard. So the motherboard is the only thing that's come from an actual original Game Boy Advance. Everything else is reproduction. So kind of cool. And that does mean that, in fact, this costs less to make than the Game Boy Advance, which is interesting. We don't know if it works yet, and we're missing the speakers, so there are possibly other stuff as well. I don't know. I think I've got everything else. Let's just try putting it together. Right, so I guess we'll start with the actual frame, right? So these are covered in plastic and everything, so we can start to... I guess we'll leave the inside stuff on. We need to remove the... Is there an inner frame? Yeah, it looks like there's an inner frame. Okay. How do we disconnect the inner frame? Nope, it just clips. Okay, it clips. Right. There we go. So there is another frame. So that, I'm assuming that's the top. Yes, that's the top. And so that's our lens, which is the little plastic covering for the actual screen. And then the screen goes inside there, presumably that way. So we're fairly certain, okay, I'm not fairly certain, but potentially this is the screen. Okay, I'm less certain now. Let me try the other one. Okay, no, that's the right one for the top. Okay. Is that really how it goes? I guess it is. Okay. How does the... I guess there's a gap for the flex cable, so we have to just make sure that the flex cable go out there, because that would be interesting. Right, we're going to just work out how this flex cable comes out, because I think those sides will definitely pinch together. Let's take the screen out and just have a look at that. There we are. So if that's put together, yeah, there's no gap in that hinge, so it must have to go out the side, I guess. I really don't know what I'm doing here. That's part of the fun, though, right? So it goes on there. Goes in there. Do not know where that will go then. We may have to look that one up. Some lessons have been learned. Right, I have watched a couple of videos and a few text things as well, and turns out the top screen, that's this one, the cord has to be wound around the hinge and come out here. that feels like that's going to be incredibly hard to pull off. Obviously, we're going to have to do it. We've got an option, but that might take a few tries. Now, a few more things we've learned. Other than, obviously, we're missing the speaker. We knew that. I didn't realise, I put this in here to try and work out where that was going. I'll probably take it out now so I can make my point. It's not screwed in or anything. Go on, just come out. There we go. So the other things, there are multiple of. One, something should go there. I don't know what. I don't have anything that will go in there. Don't know. The other, the Wi-Fi cables were not supplied with this motherboard, so I have to get replaced with those. That's not too difficult. They're fairly standard. So that's interesting. So I think before we actually try and put this together, we're going to break the rule a little bit and just try to make it work first. Just in case whatever's missing from there, or if that cable missing is going to be a showstopper or not. So, okay, the thing I've just taken back out again, we're going to put back in here. So I think the first step, because I don't think anything goes on the other side. I don't think so. I guess we'll be taking it apart again if it does. So let's put this in here, because we're going to need to put the battery in. That's in. Right, that's in. And so then we have one of the screens goes here. Do I have to put any of the... Does that go on the top of that or underneath? That goes underneath. Okay, so... Okay, we'll have to just put something underneath it. Oh, that's the other thing as well. These aren't lenses, these are screen protectors by the looks of it, because they don't quite fit the whole thing, which means you have to get lenses as well. I'll work out the price of those as well, and we'll do that. So, okay, first of all, let's put the screen in. So the bottom one needs to go in here. You have to make sure this little flap here is up, by the way. There we go. So that's in, and then we can put that flap down. That'll hold it in place. Now, the problem here is this is metal, and those are lots and lots of electrical contacts underneath, so we can't do that. Okay. Probably just put that down. Well, let's put something thicker, just to be careful. There you go, that'll do. We'll put the bubble up there. That should be fine. And then we have to do this screen. That goes in the top one here. That's just going to fall out. Just put that in there for now, I guess. There we go. You can just lie on that. So that goes into this one. Again, make sure the little black tab is up. Is that up? Yep, that's definitely up. Okay. Go on. Oh, there we are. We're there. We're there. And then just gently push it in. You have to be really gentle with these flat skirts cables, which is why I don't like the idea of having to roll one up, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, and back that goes to hold it in. It'll mess all over this screen. We'll clean that afterwards. Right, so now I have to put the battery in. I have to make sure none of this makes contact. Oh, okay. Well, the batteries are lovely quality. They label overlaps and everything, so I'm sure they'll be perfectly safe. Will they still fit in? Oh, blimey. Oh, yeah, it does fit in. It's just really, really tight. Okay. Where's the power button? It's not on the top, is it? There's something on the top. Oh, PWS. Right, is that the power switch then? Let me get this centered. Switch on. Oh, green light. Oh. Well, I know what that says. Right. That's very interesting. So, IQ. If you don't know what IQ is, by the way, this screen is very flickery. IQ. So IQ is basically the Chinese branding for Nintendo stuff. Now that's interesting and problematic. So basically China obviously has, let's say, stricter laws around its populace and what they can do. So these are kind of, you only allow certain games and stuff, and they've got lots more security lockdowns on them. So I wonder if that changes what we could do. Because my intention, obviously, I assumed it was going to be Japanese, and hoping it was American. But my intention was always to try to change it anyway, because you can hack it. It may be hard to do for the IQ model. I don't know. I didn't expect the IQ model. I mean, it makes perfect sense, obviously. We got it from China. Let's turn this off, because I don't really like that flickering screen. I don't know what that message is. Can we get rid of that message? Let's try bridging these contacts and the buttons. No. Oh, okay. The start and select button are actual buttons. So can we do those? Not going to do anything? Oh, selected. Oh, there we go. Anyway. Oh, the flickering is less apparent now. So maybe it was just that screen. And both screens are working. Well, okay. So we've learned a lot. Oh, do we just... I don't remember. I do own a DS Lite, but... Oh, okay, that does turn off, right. Okay. We've learned a lot. It does work anyway. I mean, the important thing is it works, which means we can absolutely continue this build. We're missing some components, but none of them are vital. So that's the good thing. Well. Okay, so we have to roll this screen up. I'm not looking forward to this. Yeah, we've done a bit of experimenting and a bit of reading up and a bit of watching your videos and found out a few things. So basically, we were trying to put a bracket on this side, a hinge, and you don't. There's a little round disc that comes with the hinge, and that goes in there. And these cables go through the middle of that rather than around the outside, which does work a lot better. They then thread through the case for a little slit. So that actually works fine, and that's okay. We also found out that this little connector here we weren't sure about. That's for the touchscreen, which I did not have because I am so used to nowadays where the touchscreen and the main screen are all kind of fused together. I even consider the fact we wouldn't have a touchscreen. So I had to buy that separately. So that's come from Amazon, so I'll include the price for that in Amazon. Yeah. So it wasn't too expensive, to be honest, and it came relatively quickly. So this is about 3 days after I started recording this originally. And while we're doing that, we figure we may as well order the speakers as well, because it just makes it easier than reopening this whole thing up, because we have to do some soldering for that, because the two speaker connectors there have to basically be soldered onto... Is it that? Yeah, it's those. So each display has got these two little solder points there, so that's what they're for. They're for the speakers. So we are a fair amount closer than we were. We understand quite a lot more about how this stuff works now. So if we can't really take that off now because we've kind of got it connected. Well, no, we're going to have to do it properly. So let's take you out and try to thread this back through the little slit in the case. Go on, go through. I'm moderately sure this top screen's going to not work now, because the amount of hassle I went through with this flat flex cable, I would not be surprised if it's broken. I guess we will find out when we try to use it, and at least we can still, we'll know if it works still at least. Right, so on this we have these two indents here, which are where the speakers go. They will then... wires get fed through. Obviously, one set gets fed through over here. The other set will come through with these into the base of the unit to go into the other screen. So, guess we're also going to have to kind of glue these in somehow as well. double-sided tape somewhere. Let's go and find that. So here are the speakers. Very thin little things. And I assume they go that way. Yeah, they must go that way. Well, they kind of push in anyway. Okay, so they'll probably just be held in like that. Fair enough. Especially since another part of the case goes on top of it. So we just have to push them in with that there. There we go. Neat. That's fine then. We'll have to solder those in a second. In fact, I might as well solder them now. I'll just go and solder them. It's not much to show. I mean, I don't know what the plus and minus is, but you know what? I'm just going to go over it. I'll just solder this one straight to these 2 points here, and this one I'll just feed the wires through the hinge, I guess. Seems reasonable. Yeah, through this hinge and then out through the hole there. That kind of seems to make sense. So I'll quickly go and solder those. Hello, John from the future here. So, the video which, well, from the rest of this, you'll see a kind of a slightly modified version of it. But the video that a lot of people have seen, my Patrons, for instance, is one where this whole thing doesn't work. And it took me a couple of days to work out why it didn't work. So this is quite a late video for everyone. So basically, when I added the speakers on, I assumed they soldered onto the 2 pads on each of the displays. There's 2 pads here at this bit here on the other side of this, and the small display. Let me bring that one. So this is another front one. So both of them have got these 2 pads here on the reverse. And because I'd seen wires coming through this, and because I did very little research, as I always do on this stuff, and just looked stuff up to as soon as I got completely stuck, then I assumed that was the speaker wires coming down to go to the bottom screen, which made sense for it to be those 2 solder pads there. That's in fact incorrect. In fact, both of the speakers go onto these 4 solder pads here on the top screen. So when you solder to those other 2, then it stops the machine from booting up. It doesn't damage anything, fortunately, at least it didn't for me. But yeah, so we will now continue the video, but from a point where we have learned even more over time. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and solder the speakers to these points, which is where they should have been all along, and then I'll come back and we'll carry on with a kind of more intelligent version. Back in a bit. So there we have it. I think that's basically correct now. These wires are going to be a pain. I'm pretty sure there must be a way of getting those arranged where they don't interfere, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I haven't tried putting the back on yet, so who knows, but it doesn't feel any different to how I had before, and it interfered. Where is the back? Hold on. Right, so we just need to put the back on now, which means kind of getting these wires vaguely out of the way of the hinge part. Don't know. Yeah, that feels like they're blocking. The fact it's clear actually makes it slightly more difficult. I can't quite see where stuff's lining up. It's just that one hinge, that one clippy bit there that's not going in. Oh, there we go. That's in. Alright, you know what? Other than that hinge blatantly not being together. Let me see if I can push these wires in. Alright, there. The black wire kind of got stuck outside and I just could not get it to go back through. But anyway, now it's through, and that all feels pretty flush. That does feel better than it was before, to be honest, so maybe we have kind of cracked that. It's still not together properly, I don't think. Definitely feels better than it was before, though, so maybe we've kind of got that now. Right, now we have to reassemble this thing. So, there are screws that need to go in this front thing. I guess we may as well put them in. I mean, I don't see we're going to have to do anything else. It must be these small ones as well. Okay, well, they're basically in. I had some problems getting it in, getting the screws in, because, yeah, I don't know why. Well, for one thing, these screws seem to be really, like, super easy to strip. So, there's that. But they just, yeah, even though it seems to be lined up, they just didn't seem to want to go through. And that's completely the wrong screw up there, but it won't come back out again. So, yeah. No, I say that, now it's coming out. Yeah, they're just, I don't know. I'm not convinced by the quality of this case for one thing. But anyway, that should basically hold together now, and I think that's it. I think that's the top part, just done. Right, so the bottom part, what we have done is, and obviously I've re-recorded this part, as I would have explained earlier. Hopefully I explained earlier. So I don't know how much of this I've done, I don't remember. But anyway, so obviously that's connected to that. It's got a backing sticker on it, so it doesn't short out on anything. And also we've connected the touchscreen there. Pretty sure this would have been a different part. Anyway, we'll explain it anyway, just to make sure. So now, technically, all we have to do is, well, first we'll put the power and the power and the volume sliders back in place. The power one, you have to make sure that kind of this ridge shape is upwards, because otherwise it doesn't move far enough. So it's in. Found that one out the hard way. And the volume, again, the taller bits need to be up. Oh, that's just going to fall out, isn't it? Yeah. Right, so you have to kind of hold those end angles so they don't move. But now we can, as long as that's all the way back, and that one doesn't matter so much because it's got a big catch area. So now we just need to, no, go back in. Put these in place. And I think that's all in. That looks to all be in place. Glorious. Right. I think what we'll do first is we will connect this screen and we will make sure that this thing still powers up, because, yeah, after the recent things, then, So, yeah, this connects in here. Make sure to lift up this little flap that's, you won't be able to see it all, but is here. And then it's just a case of frustratedly pushing this in until it finally stays. I think that's in. So let's close the flap. Right, we can now add a battery in and see if this still powers up. Green light on, and screen's on. Right, there we go. Touchscreen. No touchscreen. Fantastic. So the touchscreen stopped working. I guess it's come out. Let me have a quick look at that. It seems to be like just super easy for it to come out for some reason. Right. So screen back on. Okay, so we have to feed this through here. There's a small slit in this hinge, and that will just go through there. And then the little metal ring will kind of line up with that. So there we got our first hinge. So now if we close this up, because we're going to have to do the shoulder buttons and the buttons and stuff, and it's easier to do it on this top screen for various reasons. At least it seems to be. So now we can actually connect those together. So make sure that flaps up again. And come on, don't be a pain. That's in. We can close that. Right, so now that's back in place. Now, the other hinge is a much more annoying affair because that comes as a separate part, and the idea is we have to kind of, it has to be screwed onto this part here using 2 screws. So you probably do that last. We need to work out these shoulder buttons. The shoulder buttons are not easy. So basically the shoulder buttons are made up of kind of 3 different parts. So the other shoulder button itself, this spring, and then there's a metal pole that goes through it. Now the problem is the spring has to be hooked over this little clip here on this top bit, but then the whole thing has to be underneath here. So yeah, it's not easy. So I think that's the left-hand side there. So this is the left-hand side thing, and it needs to be... No, hold on. No, I've got those upside. I've got that upside down. Right, that's the left-hand side. So that goes that way. Which I think this is going to end up in us removing all this stuff all over again. This is just such a pain. Oh, so that kind of goes like that. Kind of. What is the chicken and egg in this situation? I mean, it's... We put you on top of there, like so. Just line you up a little bit better. Right, so that's the case kind of together. So these... That's the left. Let's look at the right hand side one. There we go. So these need to go in there. Yeah, this is really tricky to do. I'm sure there's a knack to this and people are probably screaming about how easy it actually is. Okay. I think what I'm tempted to do is just to put the shoulder buttons in. With the knowledge that they just won't work properly. But then how am I going to get the post in? I mean, the answer to that is you just can't. So we'd have to take this bottom bit off after all. God damn it. Alright, I'm not sure how we're going to do this. Again, we're removing the video, the screen cable. I will cut a few of these out because otherwise this video is going to be very, very long. It's already going to be very, very long. It'll be even longer. Right, so I'm just going to put these shoulder buttons in. They need to go in here The rod goes through into the little post, and somehow this bit has to go around that bit at the top, and I don't know how that's going to happen yet, but you know what? Let's just play what we got. Okay, so it's a bit creaky, but it is pushed together. The hinge certainly works, so that's good. Clicks into place. Well, I guess we try to turn it on again. So we'll put the battery in. And we may as well put the battery cover in as well, I guess. Right. Battery cover is staying on. It's good enough. So there we go. It's a Nintendo DS Lite. It works. Don't know about the controls yet. Yep, they appear to work. Now, unfortunately, I know for a fact that this will not work in a IQ DS. I don't think it even recognises it. Yep, doesn't even recognise it. So I will have another flash cart coming for it, but in the meantime, let's go see if we can find an actual DS game. Do I own any? That's a good point. I know for a fact I had at least one DS game, I just can't find it. So I do have a GBA game though, so we should be able to test that at least. Hey, there we go. So, I mean, it works. It functions as a DS. I'll do an update if I get hold of that other flash cart or if I find another DS game. But, I mean, that seems to work, right? Let's start. The start button is not very nice. I don't remember what it was like on an actual DS. But there we go. It works. So, we definitely managed to build a DS Lite using parts from Aliexpress and a couple from other places, but you can get all the parts on Aliexpress. So, let's do the revised summary. So there we go. Can we build a Nintendo DS Lite from parts using Aliexpress? Yes, we can. Again, this goes back to the Game Boy Advance one of, should we? I mean, we did manage to build that Game Boy Advance and it worked, but it did cost quite a bit more than you could probably just buy a Game Boy Advance for. It was fun doing it though, which at least was part of the, I guess, desire to do it. And yeah, I liked it. And the same very much goes with this one. So it's not actually that much more expensive to buy the parts than it is to buy a DS Lite, at least one that is working. So it's not as bad as the Game Boy Advance, but again, it's still more convenient just to go out and buy one. But buying the parts is quite good fun, and you just get to kind of mix and match parts. Now, in terms of the case I think is the thing that most disappoints me. It's not great. It the screws it comes with just strip just instantly as soon as they meet any kind of force, which is a bit of a problem when the screw holes aren't actually very well defined. So that's a big problem with this. There's a lot of frustrating parts with building this Game Boy Advance anyway. I still haven't done those shoulder buttons. You've got to kind of fish that spring over those clips before they'll really work properly. They do work, I mean, but they're just not, there's not enough feel to them for it to be a Nintendo product. So yeah, other than that, the screens both work fine. There's that bit of flickering, but that seems to go away. It just depends on, I guess, what resolution or something, whatever it's doing on the screen. But it's not too bad. It looks a lot worse on camera than it is in real life as well. The batteries aren't a bit shoddy, but they do seem to work. And guess we'll find out over an extended period if they actually last or not. The motherboard is obviously fine, but it's a shame it didn't come with that antenna cable. You can just buy it. They're fairly standard parts. I just need to find one, and then I'll be able to add that, and then this will have wireless as well. But again, it's that IQ version, which I know you can hack, because I have done more research now. Now I've had to use days to make this video. And I do have a flash card code I can use, but it isn't as easy as just like a US or a Japanese or a European one. So there is that. Yeah, other than that, I'm pretty happy with that came out. Once I worked out that speaker problem, which again is just me. Is my way of doing these things is I go in blind to see how much I can do, and when I get stuck while doing the video, I then tend to look stuff up on my phone, and that's not the best way of doing stuff, of course. And most of the tutorials I found weren't actually very good either. They tend to kind of miss steps or didn't show very good pictures and angles of where things went. So it meant that I got confused with those wires, which were actually the wireless wires coming through that hole, and not the speaker wires, which just stay in the top, which makes a lot more sense because it means that part is then completely detachable without only having to remove that one flex cable, which is really, really clever. So I've given kind of the reasons why it's just easier to go out and buy one. But if you want a project, this is not a bad one. There are some frustrating parts, like I've mentioned, but there's enough parts to make it a decent kind of puzzle, especially if you just try and go it on your own. And you do end up with something you've built yourself, which is kind of cool. I mean, I like the Gameboy Advance means quite a bit more to me than a lot of other handhelds I've got, just because I built it myself. And I think this will probably be the same thing. So, you know what? I do recommend it. It's not that expensive to try either. So, again, though, you know, there's always going to be caveats to that. If any of the parts aren't working, then that's obviously more expensive immediately. But if they do work, then it's a good project. Right. This is the remake of this summary because my patrons have seen the original summary where things didn't quite go as planned. You've now seen this summary where things did go as planned. So if you want to see that, my mess ups, then it's just £1 to join our Patreon to get access to early videos. I think it's similar on YouTube membership as well, and you'll get access to that video as well. And also exclusive videos too. But that is an exclusive video, presumably, but it's just another version of this video, another timeline. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be told when we release new videos as well, including any follow-ups to this, of course. Yeah. See you next time.
The present is horrible. The future looks bleak. Remember our childhood to get us through the week. We're getting re-enthused. Back to the past and the things we used. We all know that our pasts were great. Escaping the things that today we hate. Getting re-enthused. Getting re-enthused. Getting re-enthused. Getting re-enthused.